All right. I think we've got everyone in from our waiting room. So we'll go ahead and kick off. I hope all y'all had a wonderful holiday. For those who I haven't worked with yet, my name is Sarah Vasca, and I replaced Jessica when she left us in October for another opportunity. It's been some big shoes to fill, but as you're aware, we are moving on. We have gotten NTIA approval that happened on November 18th. And while clearing the first hurdle was a big win for GTA and our subgrantees, truly, I really appreciate all the efforts that all of our applicants have put in over the past months and years getting to this point. We still have one more hurdle to jump. That's the NIST approval. I don't think it's going to be a big hurdle. NTIA has said that that it'll take 20 days. We confirmed with our federal program officer that it will. And as a heads up, we will also be recording this this meeting so that you can circle back to it after the fact, or if you want to distribute for those who weren't able to attend. But as I was saying, we received NTIA approval. We've moved on to the NIST review, which is kind of the compliance and standards arm for the U.S. Commerce Department. We're currently there. Everything looks like it's going well, and we anticipate approval probably mid-December. From there, we're going to get new terms and conditions from NIST. We're going to need some time to review those on our end and then update our terms and conditions for subgrantees. So you should see that information coming to you realistically sometime in January. But we've got a lot of work to kind of focus on leading up to that point, and then want to ensure just a smooth transition as we onboard our subgrantees to the BEAD program. As y'all know, it's a little bit different than ARPA or CPF for those who have participated in those programs. But we've got a really good team with RSM helping us provide wraparound services essentially to our subgrantees so that we can get everyone up to speed, so that we can get the documents we need in, and that we can get shovels in the ground. So today is just really a kind of overview of our next coming months, what to anticipate, what we need from you, and then kind of what to look for. We'll kind of go through some slides. If at any point you have questions, certainly let us know. We'll save some time at the end and potentially in between slides. But from here, I'm going to turn it over to Jen Wade with RSM to kind of address those upcoming things. Take it away, Jen.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks. So as Sarah mentioned, there are a couple of things that you all can be doing in order to prepare you while we're waiting for NIST approval to make the document submissions go faster and more streamlined. And there's also some things that are upcoming that we would just want to give you a heads up with. We know that the holidays are coming on us really, really fast. And so we've got a couple of things scheduled already and a couple of things that are going to be scheduled coming probably in the next couple of weeks, just to give you a heads up on that so you can start preparing. First and foremost, though, while you're waiting for NIST approval and in line with the terms and conditions, GTA does expect, and again, this is subject to change, but to issue terms and conditions mid to late January. And again, that can change based on NIST approval, any NTIA updates, or even GTA's timeline. But looking at the kind of mid to late January timeframe, in order to execute those terms and conditions agreements, though, there are two primary things that you all can be working on right now to make that process go quickly. You do have 14 days to sign the terms and conditions agreement. Once that is issued, you'll get the award notification, then you'll get the terms and condition agreement to sign. That, just for your knowledge too, if you haven't seen it already, it is posted online under the BEAD program on GTA's website. There is the outline there. So if your legal counsel hasn't already seen that, that's been up for quite a while now. So please ensure they've already taken a look at that to be prepared to sign when that agreement does come to you and the award notifications are sent out. In addition to that, the awardees must be prepared to submit either a letter of credit or a performance bond. And I know that the agency has received a lot of questions about letter of credit and kind of some sample templates, et cetera. There is a sample template online, again, with the same resources on GTA's website. But I do want to reiterate, it's just a sample template. The banks are going to have their own templates. GTA has provided that online to provide some guidance on the language, some guidance on the obligee and kind of what to place here and there. But ultimately, your financial institution will provide you with a template. So I know, again, Sarah, you guys have gotten a lot of questions about, does this language look okay? Does this look okay? And again, that's really meant to be a template, if you will, a sample template, rather just to have something to provide to the financial institution to, again, insert some of those components in there. When you have to have the submission of the performance bond or letter of credit to GTA prior to executing the terms and conditions agreement. So again, you have 14 days. So right now, as you wait for that, I know many of you have already kind of engaged with your financial institutions, but really want to make you cognizant again of this requirement. And then in addition to that, if you'll recall, there is also a requirement for letters of credit. Under that, you have to also submit at the same time. So again, prior to execution of the terms and conditions agreement, a letter from general counsel. And this letter is for a letter of credit. It's an opinion letter from the legal counsel clearly stating, subject only to customary assumptions, limitations, and qualifications, that in the proceeding under Title 11, that the bankruptcy court would not treat the letter of credit or proceeds of the letter as property of the winning subgrantee's bankruptcy estate under Section 541 of the Bankruptcy Code. So again, just remember, if you're doing letter of credit, those two things have to be submitted prior to terms and conditions. And then again, just to reiterate, confirming internally the authorization process, whether it's your CFO, your board, et cetera. The second thing that I wanted to highlight for you is the cybersecurity and supply chain risk management plans. If you'll recall, in the application, we did allow an attestation of the understanding of this, with the understanding that you would present these prior to initiating the terms and conditions agreement. In the plan that is online that we submitted to NTIA, so within the final proposal, there are documents we also had to submit for approval. In that plan, we have said to NTIA that we will collect them and review those. So we will expect that each awardee provide cybersecurity and supply chain risk management in accordance with the NIST framework as well. If you have any questions about that, please let us know. I know these two, again, are the primary things we wanted to drive home for terms and conditions. So here are just some immediate steps you can take for now. Again, I mentioned engaging with either bonding agents if you're using the performance bond, or your financial institution if you're using letters of credit, doing some internal refinement of the cybersecurity plans and the risk management plans for supply chain or submission to GTA, and then monitoring the GTA announcements. And you'll see why here shortly, because we have some upcoming webinars that we're going to announce, but also for that terms and condition issuance, the award notifications, et cetera, as we await NIST approval. And then just be preparing to submit those documents within that 14 window timeframe once the TNC is sent to you. Before I move on to kind of the next steps and what the onboarding looks like and all of that and that timeline, I want to pause briefly here for these two, kind of what you can be doing now, to see if there are any questions about that. All right, hearing none, I'm going to keep moving forward. So again, I mentioned some next steps as far as upcoming training and onboarding, et cetera. So really, even prior to the onboarding process, we want to get a head start on the NEPA compliance to Section 106. Obviously, it was not a requirement during state fiscal recovery and CPF. So if you've had those prior, this process is going to look different because there was no NEPA that was applicable there. For the EHP component, we will have our EHP team do a webinar This is still in progress as far as the scheduling of this right now, but again, it will occur pre-onboarding. So please be on the lookout for the date of this, but they will go over exactly what that process will look like, ways for you to streamline the process, but really just provide an overview of what the whole NEPA process looks like, collecting of the information that's going to go in the ESAP tool, how that's going to work and how we'll track it and how we'll work with you one-on-one. In addition to the EHP webinar, where again, it's kind of high level, we're also going to have one-on-one EHP meetings with every awardee. And there we'll have already reviewed your line work. We'll have done a clash detection on your line work, but we will ask every awardee to also come with their own clash detections. So this is probably something that you have conducted already to, implement in your cost analysis when you are doing the application. But we will ask you to come prepared to discuss and show and even send in advance probably the clash detection to compare again with ours. So again, those will be scheduled on a one-on-one basis for each awardee. And we'll let you know when those will be scheduled. We're trying to kind of avoid the, holiday chaos, kind of, shutdowns, et cetera, of, the holiday season. The other thing I wanted to highlight here is we're going to go ahead and also get a start on the risk assessments. It does take a little while to conduct these. We're going to kick these off the week of December 8th. So you will all receive an email sometime on the week of December 8th, giving you the instructions, giving you the risk assessments. You will have until December 31st to complete those. And while I understand that is New Year's Eve, we're giving you a whole month, well, almost a whole month to the end of the month to complete those. Shouldn't be a really big lift for you all, but we're also here if you have any questions on those once those get sent out. Information that will be asked of you within those risk assessments are project specific. So it'll be sent out for every project area that you have won. And it'll ask things about the duration of the project, the cost, the match, audited financials and things like that, that you may have already included on the front end with the application. However, some of the financials that were included in the application may have been updated. You might have done updated financials, but please make sure that they're most current year that you have with regard to the audited financials. And then lastly, there are a whole lot more requirements in this program than many of you have had to deal with in state fiscal and CPF, or this may be new to you altogether. And so for the onboarding training, we're going to break this up into 3, perhaps even more parts to kind of give you bite-sized chunks of this because it is a lot. We're going to start these on January 20th. GTA will send these out to you. So we're going to have, again, 3 parts at least to start with. It'll cover everything from general admin, dive into the compliance and monitoring, and then look at some of the other components of the program as well. But again, giving you more bite-sized chunks, walking you through what the budgets that you're going to submit will look like, walking you through the payment requests and what that will look like, access to the system, all of that stuff. So that is coming. So we wanted to again highlight those for you in 3 parts. I would say too, this will be required onboarding training. So please make sure a representative from your entity is present during these. We will also record them and put them online, but then you will also have to submit an attestation that you have reviewed these prior to signing terms and conditions with GTA. All right, I know that was short and sweet, but also a whole lot in the short and sweet time frame, and we just covered that. Any questions on any of the what to do now, your next steps, what you can be doing now, any of the what's to come?
Yeah, I have a quick question on the terms and conditions.
Okay.
So there is a version out now, and you say that a revised version will come out mid-January or thereabouts, correct?
So I think, Sarah, you are referring to the terms and conditions for NTIA to the state. Do you want to take that?
Sure. So NTIA, once we move through NIST, we'll receive essentially our terms and conditions from NTIA. Those will include those updated terms and conditions, some of which with Louisiana already receiving theirs, you may have received online. So from there, we'll have to update the terms and conditions we have our subgrantees sign just to make sure everything aligns.
Okay, and so my question is it possible to have, for the terms and conditions that the subgrantees sign, is it possible to have a red line version between what's available now and the new version, that would make our analysis go much faster to show the differences.
We can work on that. I don't have one on hand, but we can certainly pull what Louisiana has. I don't see why we wouldn't have the same terms and conditions as they would. And we can look at those differences for you guys, and we'll post that online and we can send it out as well.
Okay, thank you.
And I think the ask is once we get those to redline the original and then ours, and then maybe, as you said, Sarah, maybe we can highlight Louisiana's changes that they've incorporated.
Yeah.
Perfect. Christopher, I see you have a question.
Yeah, so if we're using a third party for NEPA and other environmental, are those allowable expenses as of now? I know some states have allowed that. Or do we have to wait until the contracts are signed for that to be an allowable expense?
So I would refer you back to the limited permissible activities. There are some permitting activities that are allowable under limited permissible activities that are outlined on the website. So I would refer you back to those. They're also in the FAQs. I would say they're also at the risk to the awardee, but now we're past the kind of point, unless something changes dramatically, right? We've gone through NTIA approval. So Sarah, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but we're just waiting on NIST approval. So I think that limited permissible activity list is what I would say I would be comfortable telling you all to go off of right now until we've actually established the terms and condition agreement, right? Because you technically have to sign that.
Thank you.
So we have a couple questions in the chat. So I'm going to kick the first one over to you as a state question. Will GTA be accepting comments, red lines on the terms and conditions?
No. Ultimately, it's been the policy of the state to not accept red lines once we get those terms and conditions sent out to our subgrantees. That's something that we have mentioned a couple times as we've moved through the program. It's just easier for the state and within the best interest of us as a state and our subgrantees to move forward with the terms and conditions that we put forward. And I think the second one is there a specific date by which the performance bond is needed? We want to avoid unnecessary costs. It's going to fall, Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, with those terms and conditions.
Correct.
Yeah.
You have to have it submitted before signing terms and conditions, and you have a 14-day window. So that I believe, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, I recall something went out in the listserv to go ahead and let awardees know, or preliminary awardees at the time know, that they should be engaging with their institutions and bonding agents to go ahead and start to have these conversations to get that. So I don't know that that would be too early, but I mean, if we've gone through NTIA approval, I think now would be the time for them to be seeking those to make sure that they can submit the terms and condition agreement on time.
Yep.
And that last one's an EHP question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this may play into the EHP meeting that has yet to be scheduled, but when will the applicants be expected to provide a final line work for environmental review? Is it a gating factor to contract execution? Not a gating factor to contract execution. And I know David's on here as well, so I don't know if you have anything to add to this, but it's really in line with that EHP meeting that we'll conduct one-on-one. It's really that clash detection that will be expected of you for the EHP one-on-one. But David, I'm not sure if you have anything to add to that since you're talking to the EHP team.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. So the final line work will only be needed and updated after we go through the initial clash detection process and confirm that the line work you provided was sufficient to go through that process. And if it wasn't, or there's missing attributes or other elements that need to be presented in that line work, it'll be requested at that time through that meeting that Jen will talk about scheduling as a next step. So nothing really new to add to your comments.
And that last question in there, so the subgrantee signing will be terms and conditions around the end of January, correct? Approximately mid to late January, fingers crossed, pending no updates.
Yeah, that's where we're tracking now.
Sarah, I'll kick it back to you. Anything to add
Nothing to add on my end. As always, if you guys have any questions, certainly feel free to reach out to our team here at GTA, whether it be to me or to William or to the broadband box. Just let us know. We'd rather you ask on the front end, and we don't have that answer on hand. We'll work to track that down. Sometimes it takes a minute to get a response, but we definitely want to make sure that everyone is prepared going into this, so that we can make it as smooth as possible. But nothing major update wise on our end. Are there any other questions? Okay, hearing none. As I mentioned before, we'll have this online available for those that might want to recap or submit or send to other entities within your ISP and your company. Thank you guys for joining, and look for further information to come. Thanks.